Welcome to The Explainer. Look, today we're diving into something that's going to touch pretty much every single one of us at some point. Right now, there is a totally urgent caregiver shortage unfolding, specifically impacting Florida's Treasure Coast. It's a situation that's quite literally pushing families and healthcare systems straight to the brink. But we aren't just going to sit here and look at the problem today. We're going to look at the dual-track community solutions that are actively fighting back. So get ready because we're going to break this whole thing down step by step. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the caregiver shortage crisis, followed by the system at breaking point. Then we'll pivot to the solutions, rebuilding the caregiver workforce, navigating senior placement, and finally, support for veterans. Let's get right to it. Section 1, the caregiver shortage crisis. 70%. I really want that number to sink in for a second, because this is the absolute core of the crisis. Right now, Florida's caregivers are facing a massive 70% staff shortage. Just think about what that actually looks like on the ground. If a facility or a home healthcare agency needs 10 caregivers to run smoothly and safely, they're literally missing 7 of them. It's a staggering deficit, and it directly threatens the dignity, the safety, and the daily well-being of Florida's aging population. When a senior rings that bell for help, well, this 70% gap is exactly why nobody is walking through that door right away. So when you map that 70% shortage across the entire state of Florida, it translates to more than 151,000 unfilled caregiver positions. Over 151,000? To put that in perspective, that's like an entire city's worth of healthcare professionals just missing from the workforce. Facilities desperately want to hire, families desperately want to hire, but the human resources, they just aren't there. Now, you might be wondering, how does this big macroeconomic workforce vacancy actually hit home for families? The answer is 72 hours. Because there just aren't enough caregivers to safely transition seniors back home or into assisted living, we're seeing an average 72-hour delay in hospital discharges. So seniors are medically cleared to leave the hospital, but they're stuck in beds for 3 extra days simply because there's 0 trained staff available to receive them at their next level of care. Moving on to Section 2, System at Breaking Point. We're basically looking at a ticking clock here. By the year 2030, which is honestly right around the corner, we are projected to see a 38% increase in the demand for dementia care alone. So let's do the math. We already have a 70% staffing deficit today, right? And now the demand for really intensive, specialized memory care is about to skyrocket by nearly 40%. The trajectory here is, quite frankly, terrifying if we don't drastically change course. And the kicker? Fixing this isn't just about going out and aggressively hiring new people. It's heavily about retention. Right now, the industry is suffering from a massive 46% annual caregiver turnover rate. Almost half the workforce is leaving every single year. It's literally like trying to fill a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom. Caregivers are burning out because of the very shortages we're talking about, which of course just makes the whole situation even worse. I want us to just take a quick breath here and think about these words from Senator John Hoeven. Caring for seniors is perhaps the greatest responsibility we have. You know, behind every single percentage point and delay we've talked about, there's a grandfather, a mother, a veteran. We've got to shift gears from just looking at cold, systemic data to really feeling the deeply compassionate reality of family caregiving. These are the folks who built our communities, and they absolutely deserve better. Okay, let's pivot to the solutions in Section 3, rebuilding the caregiver workforce. So we've defined the problem. Now let's talk about the macro-level fix. This is where organizations like the Treasure Coast Caregiver Workforce Foundation, or TCCWF, step in to rebuild this broken system from the ground up. Their mission is super targeted. They provide affordable, accessible training to knock down those traditional barriers that keep people out of healthcare careers. Led by nurses, this foundation is empowering underserved communities by giving them real economic mobility, all while pumping skilled, dependable caregivers right back into the local community. They're basically building a workforce with purpose. And their approach is a highly structured 4-step pipeline: recruit, train, mentor, and connect. They don't just, train folks and shove them out the door. No way. They recruit compassionate raw talent. They provide accessible training. They offer hands-on mentoring so these folks are truly ready for the real world. And then, this is the best part, they directly connect these certified caregivers with local assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and home care agencies. It is a complete end-to-end workforce solution. Next up, Section 4, navigating senior placement.
All right, so that workforce pipeline is an amazing long-term fix. But what if your family is in crisis like today? If you're completely overwhelmed right now, Treasure Coast Senior Placement Solutions, or TCPS, is your lifeline for cutting through the chaos. They're RN-led, so you're getting actual expert medical guidance. They make these fast, stress-free placements, usually within 7 to 14 days. And get this, the service is completely free for families. Whether you're dealing with an urgent placement right after a hospital discharge or a sudden fall, they step in and just completely remove the guesswork. So, how exactly do they do it? It's a highly personalized process. Step 1 is a free phone consultation to really understand the immediate crisis. Step 2 is a comprehensive home assessment to evaluate the senior's cognitive, physical, financial, and medication needs. Step 3, guided virtual or in-person facility tours. And Step 4 is the final placement. They evaluate every single variable before helping you pick the absolutely ideal environment.
And they represent a huge spectrum of options to make sure it's the perfect fit for your unique situation. We're talking everything from independent living facilities for folks who just want some community and light support, all the way to specialized care like assisted living, memory care for Alzheimer's patients, and skilled nursing. Whether you need Medicaid-friendly options or high-end private facilities, they are there to guide you to the exact right door. Finally, let's talk about Section 5, support for veterans. Now, I want to look at a very specific, incredibly critical aspect of placement support, making sure we are properly taking care of those who bravely served our country. And there is a surprising fact here that we urgently need to talk about. Almost 2 million American veterans or their spouses are currently missing out on tax-free financial support that they literally don't even know exists. I mean, veterans make up nearly 8% of the U.S. population. Having an expert advocate who actually knows how to navigate the system is absolutely crucial. We cannot let families leave this earned, vital support on the table when they're trying to pay for senior care. The biggest secret out there is often the aid and attendance, or ANA pension. Basically, it's additional monetary support stacked on top of an existing VA pension for eligible veterans who need help with daily living. TCSPS actually advocates for veterans by using resources like the Florida Veterans Coalition Guide to help families unlock these vital benefits. Seriously, it can literally be the difference between affording proper care and going bankrupt. So I want to leave you with one final provocative question. How will your community respond to the future of aging? Look, that 70% shortage data we kicked things off with, it's daunting. There's no denying that. But as we've just seen, engaged community solutions, from nurse-led workforce training pipelines to free expert placement advocates, they offer a really clear, really compassionate path forward. The future of care requires all of us to be informed and proactive. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you the clarity and the tools you need